Welcome to Love, Life, and Marriage with the Woods. I am Seiko.
And I'm Sharon.
Welcome to our channel. Please do the following. Please like, subscribe, share. Please hit the notification bell at the bottom of this video. That way when we go live, you will be one of the first to view our content or to receive any other notifications when we post videos or live streams. If you'd like to support the ministry finance, you can do so by clicking the donation options available below. Also, if you'd like to contact us, you can do so through the contact information located at the bottom of the screen as well. We are in part 5 of Sharons Story. As you can see, my wife is here and we are trudging and going through her experience, and it has been a very interesting one to say the least. And so we want to pick up where we left off of in part 4. As we had mentioned before, things that seem to get worse and worse before it gets better, and thank God it does get better. So dear, take us where you want us to go, where you left off at. This is your story. I'm just here, trying to somewhat navigate with you, but yeah. So you left off last time with of course more abuse. You dealt with him pulling out a shotgun, you hiding in the bathroom, those kinds of things.
Did I finish that part of the story?
Well, you can recap in case you may have left some elements out. That's fine. We can do a little review if you want, or anything that you want to touch on.
Okay, so I'll just recap just briefly a little bit about that incident. There was a time, I think you had asked me the question, was there ever a time that I fought back?
Yes.
And that was one of those times where I actually pushed him, and it angered him so much that he went and got a shotgun. And I hid in their bathroom. And all I could do at that point was pray.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing his mom say, "Don't do it, please don't do this." And his comment or his remark to her was, "I got something that'll go through that door." And I don't know what she said to him, because at that point I really just blanked out. But whatever she said to him got him to put the gun away. And
how old were you when this happened?
Probably 22, maybe somewhere in there. 22.
Do you think he would have killed you?
Oh yeah.
You think so?
I think so. I believe that, and I think that that's part of the fear that was instilled in me in that relationship altogether, because there was such a fear, and I believed what he said when he said to me that he would kill me. And
he said those words to you?
He said those words to me, and that he would bury me in the backyard and people would be looking for me. And all I could think about was my parents, and what they would go through if something actually did happen to me.
Right.
So yeah, I believed him wholeheartedly, which is, like I said, that's another thing that the abusee goes through from the abuser. They instill so much fear in you to where you are kind of like frozen. You fear anything. You truly believe in your heart of hearts that they're going to make good on their threats. Because you've just seen sides of them to where they don't care. There's just this callousness that comes out, and you just don't care. They don't care. So yeah, that kind of fear will put you in a place where you're just about willing to do anything. So you don't think about the consequences.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so you basically, but you still stayed, even in light of that.
Yeah.
What was the reason why you still chose to stay even when you knew?
Well, because I was threatened that if I left, he would find me and do something to me. I was threatened that, you know, if you leave me, you know, first of all, where you gonna go?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. And it was these words per se weren't said that, but it was the intent. If I can't have you, nobody else will.
That kind of control.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was that kind of, you know, mentality.
What about the other girl? Did he have that same mentality toward her, or just?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So there were no favorites. Both of y'all were just basically.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
So tell us about. I mean, what else do you used to do that you can remember and recall?
Well, one of the things is that if he ever suspected or thought that, and he did think this at times, that I had been with somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
and I hadn't. At that point, I had not
Mm-hmm.
been with anyone other than him. But for some strange reason, it was really dumb of me, I mentioned to his mother that someone had shown interest in me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ask me why I told her that, but I did.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, she went back and told him.
Mm-hmm.
And he made me come home, or not home, but to his house on my lunch break, and did a what I would call a spot check, so to speak, and made me strip down to make sure that I had not been with anybody.
And he could. I mean, how could he know that anyway? I mean,
I don't know.
did you think he knew that? Did you believe that he would know like that? I mean,
Yeah, I did. I'm telling you, you would believe anything that this person has said to you. So yeah.
so he was some type of gynecologist or something.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
I mean, because that's why that had to be humiliating, and
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. And I was late getting back to work from lunch.
So what made? I mean, but okay, so he made you leave work
Mm-hmm.
on your break.
On my lunch break. Yep.
What did he say? You remember?
I don't remember, verbatim what he said, but it was something to the effect of, and of course I didn't have no cell phones back then, but he would call the branch and, tell me, hey, I need you to come here on your lunch break.
Wow.
That kind of thing. And I hated doing that because, like I said before, I was always late coming back from lunch, messing with him.
Really?
Yeah. Either he would take my car, have me pick him up for lunch, and then he would drop me back off at work. But even him dropping me back off at work, I was still late getting back. And there were like 2 other people that had to go lunch after me.
Right.
So, yeah, that was always aggravating to me. But
how did that work relationship work out? I mean, were they aware that you were in an abusive relationship?
No. They knew. I believe they knew that I was in a controlling relationship. But I don't think they knew that to the extent of what the control was. I don't believe they did. If they did, they didn't say anything to me about it.
So, but again, even through that abuse, the mistreatment, the embarrassing situations he would put you in, the inconvenience, the controlling, ways that he would dominate. I guess you can say, even, I don't even say micromanage, I would just say bottom line, say abuse you. You still didn't leave. You still chose to stay.
Yeah.
Do you think all of that was in God's timing? I guess it would be, but for you in your mind, you didn't. You just didn't leave. I mean,
and the thing is, I was terrified to leave. And that's why, when I talk to young ladies and I talk to young girls and they express to me the fear that they feel of leaving, I can honestly say I know how that feels because I've been there. I don't know, psychologically how this happened, but the level of control is just unbelievable. It is truly unbelievable. And when I got to a point to where, I started to realize some things about this relationship and as a whole, I was like, I don't see any way out of this. I really did not think that there was going to be a way out. And so I just really and truly just gave it to the Lord. And I really don't think that I was even saved yet. Yeah. Back then.
This is God's common grace.
Yes. Definitely God's common grace.
Okay.
Because I wasn't living a lifestyle conducive to someone who was a true believer. But I even wonder if I knew some of the biblical things that I do know now, if I would have been even strong enough then to apply what I know now. Or would have fear just had me frozen still and not be able to move. And I really believe that the Lord knew that it was going to take his divine hand to remove me from that situation. And that's what he did.
Did you find yourself, did you drink a lot? Or how did you cope? Because some people have coping mechanisms. Some people eat, some people sleep, some people drink, some people, even engage in other sexual activity or.
I wouldn't say I drank. That didn't come until later. And I didn't even drink until I was drunk. I would just have like a drink here and there. But that wasn't my go-to. That wasn't my go-to thing. I don't even know what I did to cope.
You told me you used to listen to Donny Hathaway a lot.
Oh my
What was that about?
Well, I only listened to it because he did.
Oh.
And it was so depressing. But yeah, and I was like, oh Lord. But I grew to like it though, because he was very talented. So but yeah, I only listened to it because at the time that's the kind of stuff he was listening to. Yeah. So yeah.
So you knew you weren't gonna leave. You knew God had to divinely,
intervene. Yes.
Yeah. So what do you mean by that? Can you explain that a little bit? What do you mean he had?
Well, it started with, the other person was still in this relationship with us. So I believe, and this may have been a coping mechanism developed by God himself, because I would have never thought that this would happen. Yeah. Those long car rides that we would take from here to Waco and back. Wow. Okay. Yes. Okay. Her and I began talking and sharing and talking and sharing, and it became a friendship, oddly enough. There were times when we would be driving back and we'd just be laughing and talking, and and at the beginning of all this, I could not stand her.
Of course.
I was highly jealous of her. Could not stand the sight of her. Couldn't stand the sight of seeing her, hearing her voice, seeing her car, any of that.
You think she felt the same way about you?
Probably. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sure she did.
Okay.
Because like I said, she was younger than me. Oh, so okay. If I couldn't control my thoughts and feelings, I can only imagine how she was feeling at the time. Yeah. But I think somehow God allowed us to develop a true friendly relationship. Yeah. And that's what, I guess that is one of the things that helped me cope. Because I had somebody else who actually knew what I was talking about. Yeah. I could give her an instance and she'd be like, oh yeah, I know. Wow. Yeah, he did that to me too. Or, okay, well next time this is what you need to do. Or she'll tell me something that she did and I would be like, girl, I'd be scared to do that. So that's the kind of thing we would do.
Were there some things that she did that you think had you had done it wouldn't have gone well with you, or did he let her slide with some things?
Well, I believe that she was more aggressive more vocal
Okay.
than me. I was very passive and very quiet.
Okay.
I was an introvert.
Yeah.
She was not.
Okay.
And I don't think she had a problem voicing her opinion or what she thought about certain things. She really didn't hold back. And me, on the other hand, I didn't say a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was probably the difference between her and I. But yeah. But weirdly enough, we became really good friends. And then that friendship led to us covering for one another.
Covering?
Yes. Covering for one another. She, at some point, she met somebody else. And, when I say cover, I mean, like, she would have me go to his house so that he wouldn't call her and want to know where she was. And then when I met somebody else, oddly enough, she did the same thing for me.
Wow. And
it was like, I didn't have to encourage her, but she encouraged me to do this. She encouraged me to, she's like, girl, you need to get out. You need to have some fun. You need to do this. You need to do that. And just so happens that her house was on the way to this other person's house. So I would stop by her house, change clothes, get ready, and then go to this other person's house.
Just Waco?
No, this was in town.
In town?
Yeah.
So this is not the Waco girl?
No, this is her.
Okay.
Yes, but I'm saying the area, no.
Oh, the area. Okay.
Yeah, it was East Houston.
Oh, okay, all right.
But yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that was our, that was the beginning of how our friendship developed and, how we cover for one another.
How did y'all manage that time though? I mean, because if he was that micromanaging and watched everything you did,
she would entertain him while I was gone.
Okay.
And then I would do the same thing for her.
But I guess my question is, I mean, you would have to be in a mental space to put yourself in an environment where you really don't want to be there, but you're there anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. That sounds like mental abuse and anguish.
Oh yeah.
As well.
I cried myself to sleep a many a night.
Wow. Man.
Yeah. And that was, from being jealous and being angry and, all that kind of stuff.
How did you deal with stress? Well, did you at that time, did you know what stress?
I really didn't. I didn't know.
Wow.
And if it did have an effect on me, I didn't know it.
Yeah, so I mean, like, because sometimes women can lose their hair, or lose weight, or binge. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
none of that.
No. So, but how did you cope though with it though?
Like I said, I think it was just me talking to her.
Okay.
Just her and I talking.
Wow.
Is how I dealt with a lot of things, especially if I was angry, or if she was angry, she would call me and tell me something that he did. And I would talk her through it, and I would do the same thing with her. So
y'all would help each other out and trust each other, and not even think that the other one would.
We knew the other person would not go back and tell him what we discussed.
Wow.
But we never talked about it. It was just like an unwritten code. Yeah. We would just kind of hash things out together, and neither one of us went back to him and said, "Well, hey, so and so told me this."
So how long did you stay in a relationship longer than she did, or
I did. Yeah, I stayed longer. She left. I can't exactly pinpoint when, but she left after she had met somebody else.
So that was her reason for leaving, because she met somebody else. She wasn't afraid to leave him?
No, she wasn't. I don't think she felt as afraid and as controlled as I did. I don't know. It was just, our relationship was different.
Yeah.
He did treat us differently at times, but then there were times when it was just the same thing,
So when she left when she left him to be with somebody else, how did that make you feel? I mean, did you feel abandoned? Did you feel like, I wish I could leave too? I mean,
I felt like that. I didn't feel abandoned, but I felt like, man, I wish I could get out of this. You know, there has to be a way for me to get out of this. And by this point, though, by the time she left, there were some things that I started to notice.
Okay, like what?
So, do we have time to go into that now?
Yeah, we have some time.
Okay, well, I guess I'll start touching on it, but
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I started to notice that he had become distant. He had started, I think there was one thing I noticed. You know, back then when we had our cell phones, you couldn't, there was no like call log that you can go back through on your phone.
Okay.
It was those big phones. So you didn't have like a call log that you can go back to. You'd have to actually call the cellular company and have them print out the numbers that you've been calling.
Yeah.
So when I started suspecting that, and I saw a certain number that would always pop up. And so I said, well, I'm going to call my cell phone person, my company rather, and have them send me detailed copies of my phone records.
Okay.
And that's what I did. And so I went through, I got the phone records. You know, they print them out for you. I actually had to go there and pick them up.
That's all. Actually, did they mail you or pick them up?
No, I had to go pick them up.
Okay.
And I don't know if you remember, but Houston Cellular.
Yep.
That's who I had back then, was Houston Cellular, and they were over there off of 610.
I remember it.
So I had to go to their office and pick it up. I remember going to pick that phone record up, and I recognized this one number, and it just kept coming up and coming up and coming up. I was like, I don't know this number. First of all, it wasn't local.
Oh.
It wasn't a local number.
Okay.
I recognized 713s, 832s, 281s, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there was one with a different area code, and it was popping up at odd hours of the night.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. So I just highlighted it. I went through with my highlighter and highlighted every time I saw that phone number. And this was pages.
Yeah.
But I said, okay, I'm going to take my time with this.
Wow.
I'm going to go through, I'm going to highlight every single time this number is called. And then I circled the time that it was called.
Okay.
And I held on to that information for, months.
Months?
Months.
Why did you wait so long?
Because I didn't want him to know yet. I didn't want him to know that I knew something was going on.
Okay.
And I was also getting, later on, I think this had to have been later on, because she wasn't living here yet. This person that he was messing with, that I found out about, getting these weird phone calls to my phone number at home. Every time I answered, they would just hang up.
With one of them.
And I would call the number back, and it was a restaurant.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that she was working there.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's what happened with that. But there's way more with that information, but I don't know if we have time to go into
so
that.
I want to ask one question before we wrap this up then. So you waited months.
Months.
Before you confronted him, or you just, did you confront him?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay, so that's my point.
I asked him a question. I didn't confront him. I didn't like interrogate him. But I just said, hey, what's this on my phone bill? I said, I noticed this number here was being called a lot. And I don't even remember the lie he told, but he told some lie. And I just said, okay. And I knew he was lying, but I hadn't gotten up the nerve yet to call. But so
you waited all those months to approach him about it, and you still never called the number until later. much later, or I mean, what was the time span?
Probably soon after I asked him about it and realized that he was lying about it. I said, okay, well, I'm gonna get bold enough to call this number.
How did you feel when you realized you were lying?
Well, I was hot. I was angry.
Did you show your anger, or did you kind of like let it?
No, I did.
You did?
I did. This time I did, and I really didn't care what was gonna happen to me at this point because I was livid.
Okay, so I'm not talking about when you finally confronted him. I'm talking about when initially when you had asked him about what are these numbers and stuff, and you said you knew he was lying. So he knew that you were upset then?
Well, let's see. I was angry when I asked him about it, and at that point, I think this was after I had told him about that I found the phone, the number or something, but I hadn't called it yet. No, my anger didn't happen until after I actually called the number.
Okay. No, that's why I was asking, because I know.
The anger came after I called the number, not before.
Okay. Because the reason I was asking that before, we end this up, because I know you had said that there were some things in the beginning of your talk that you just didn't ask him, or if he felt like you were questioning him, that he would get upset and angry. It'll be a problem, physical problem, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I was just wondering, when did this buildup of courage, occur? Which is good, but just wanted to know, what was that pivotal point that caused you to say, okay, you know what, that's it, and this is it, and actually. This is it for this video. So we're gonna cut it here. I know some of y'all are like, man, see, like April and Pat and Lavina, and Diane, and I know, Diana.
Oh, yeah, it gets much more. It gets much trickier after this.
Yeah. So you ladies and some of you, brothers, gentlemen, y'all stay tuned, because she goes deeper into the next video. But yeah, if you are being blessed by this, and if you know someone that was going through, unfortunately, these kinds of situations of abuse, physical. It's not God's plan or purpose in your life for you to be treated like that. He loves you, and he also wants what's best for you. And what's best for you is not to have yourself beaten to the point to where you're in someone's hospital, or God forbid, you're in someone's grave. So we have resources and information at the bottom of this video where you can reach out to someone, and also sermon links on the bottom of the video, for those of you who would need to just have a word, biblical word from the Lord regarding how should you respond if you are in a marriage and you are being abused, and if you're not married, but even if you want to know what is God's will for those types of situations of abuse in relationships like that, the Bible definitely does provide the answers. And so we want to be a conduit and a resource for you as well. So again, if you'd like to support the ministry financially, you can do so with the information below at the bottom of the screen. Also our contact information there as well, and also the BCV information and link, we have that also in the description below as well. So that's our time for this episode and this video. We thank you for yours, and until next video, next time, bye.